Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to the LA7. It's been a while, and we're just here historically readjusting the transmissions of these Panthers. The enemy team is pushing pretty hard here on the C point. I suspect it's a three-man squad, or at least three Panther lovers working together to try and pants our team, but reducing mobility on enemy squads can really go a long way, even if you can't get that kill. And that's something that the LA7 does sometimes struggle with. LA5, LA7, I think it's the 7. Anyways, it's Pokrishkins. And this is not the aircraft I wanted to fly in this match, but I didn't have enough spawn points to jump into the People's Dora. USSR captured Focke-Wulf, which, like other Focke-Wulfs, is just a little bit closer to being the dogfighting monster that it used to be. That is, it recently got an improvement to its stall characteristics and performance in a stall, and you'll see a little bit of that going on shortly. But until that time, story time. So, it's still totally smoky outside. The atmosphere is all light smoke with a powdering of ash. And that gets me all excited because I used to be a wildland firefighter, and fighting fires is just about the most exhilarating thing that you can do with your time. Nope, there we go. Enemy coming in, and we managed to avoid getting wrecked. Pull in the flaps, try and run him down. I know there's more aircraft in the sky, so enjoy this while it lasts. Our cannon ammunition running out rapidly. Focke-Wulf, we can outturn him, and we can outrun him at this altitude. What's that mean? There's nothing he can do, except survive, which, I mean, with these guns and that airframe, is entirely a possibility. So, how was your day? So it's still raining ash outside. It's very dry. There's all kinds of rumors and talk and so-called news going around about the fires here in Oregon and California. And we get fires like this every year. It just depends upon how severe they are and how much less anyone else has something to talk about what you hear about in the news. And our guys whose job it is to deal with them are working their butts off, because that's how you fight fire every time. You go as hard as you can go because you're there in somebody else's emergency, and you're gonna make it all better. Anyway, God, I miss those days. But I didn't get to go to many fires anyway. You don't see a lot of action here on the coast, and I didn't get shipped out at all. So, why did I mention all of this smoke and ash? Well, I decided, in fact, I really have been late on this, but my wife has been working 14, 16-hour days at the post office almost every day, and then on her day off, boom, shakalaka, this is the Dora I was telling you about. And you're going to see some clips from a match I had there. Bad compression, but incredible flaps. That's amazing. Did the flaps ever rip on this thing? Anyway, that definitely saved us. Where was I going with this? Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Oh man, I got a headache because I did a little bit of working my butt off today. I took the opportunity as soon as my wife got home. Enjoy this landing, by the way. We got some critical wing damage, and this thing is handling like a magic school bus. Here's some of that stall performance they were talking about. Not a good place to stall. That's a totally realistic rendering of what would happen there, but we got the repair. A little bit of ground strike while the enemy team is fiddling around trying to convince us to fly over their airfield to try and shoot them down. I ain't about that. We're using the weapon select system to use just the machine guns, little pew-pews, which 13mm German MGs just don't have the amount of damage that you want them to have. Same with the 15mm, by the way. That's something that could really use an update, because those are fairly hefty rounds. They don't smack nearly as hard as American 50 cals or just about anybody else's heavy machine gun, and I don't want to hear about muzzle velocity. That 15mm is screaming fast. Anyway, where was I going with this story? So I went out, and normally I'd say that I mowed an apartment complex, but on account of fire restrictions and just the general heightened awareness about fire danger, even here in town, I decided to not use my power equipment. So, no lawnmower. What do I have? I can't find my weed whip, so that's too bad. The grass whip is a pretty good tool for standing up and whacking grass. It's sort of like a saw-toothed vertical scythe. Not quite as good, but pretty versatile. That goes a long way when it comes to my tools. I like versatile tools. These two are definitely tools. We're gonna try and take one of them down head on. We can't quite get the guns on. That's too bad. Improved stall characteristics, you guys. Anyway, maybe I should have used more flaps. I don't know. Did I use all the flaps? I think I used all the flaps. Anyway, I was out there cutting the grass for an entire apartment complex, albeit half of it was dry and dead, so that made my job a little bit easier, but there was plenty that was still kudzu, and I was doing all of that with a hand sickle designed for harvesting celery, shipped to me from China with love. I love that tool, by the way. Fantastic tool. And a little hand saw, because that does a nice little job of it's like a tiny rake, almost like a rake with teeth, so it worked out pretty well as a support or a tempo weapon to go in my offhand. And so I'm dual wielding there, crouched down in the grass the way you do, just a hacking away and getting my workout for the day, and a sweet $50 if I get the job done. And one of the residents comes out to interview me, and I notice right away that he's open carrying a pistol on his hip and a nice little holster. So I figured why he'd come out there, just checking to make sure I'm not some random neighborhood crackhead. And I appreciate the thought. So we had a nice little conversation, and it was delightful. It really was. And as a dad now, it just makes me feel great to see other men defending their homes, and that Spitfire definitely accomplished the same. So I had a blast. I'm coughing out a little bit of ash even though I was wearing a mask the whole time. Man, I was sucking that mask into my mouth so hard, working my fanny off, because I'm over 220 pounds right now, and that's just too much for me. So it feels nice to work extra hard, harder than I need to for sure, and get a little bit of dosh on the side that I can spend on fancy Golden War Thunder vehicles. That's right, almost the entirety of my War Thunder spending has been funded by mowing lawns, or cutting lawns in that case. And I do like to experiment with working harder than I need to just to get a workout, because the whole reason I'm doing this lawn cutting stuff, I'm not like a lawn care guy, right? I cut things, is to get exercise and to get fit. And I've learned that it's a whole lot easier to work your ass off if you're getting paid. So all of you out there that are passionate about something, like the way that I'm passionate about this YouTube channel, you know what? Passion gets you somewhere. But bucks are appreciated for sure. And here's a guy who's making that money in this match today. This is our friend Bacon Gaming, who has, you better know about him. He has a fantastic YouTube channel. He's good for news, he's great for helicopter content, and he's a superb lad all around. I have a few people that are active on the Toshio Thunder Zone Discord that came from his circle of friends, and I really appreciate. Just seems to surround himself with some quality kids, and I use the term kids because, well, I'm not sure why, because you're just a little bit younger than the 30-year-old average age person that plays War Thunder, and I love that. One of the things I really appreciate about the Thunder Zone is the range of people from different backgrounds, countries, experiences, and all kinds of stuff that filter on in, and some of you eventually out, sad to see you go. But if you'd like to arrive at the Thunder Zone, I have a link for you, and it does take a while to get cleared by an admin so you can have full access to the server, and I hope you understand that we're not a huge channel, and just my admins have other things to do. They work for free, and I'm a very, very busy guy. When I'm not cutting lawns, I'm raising 3 kids, or making YouTube videos, or actually playing War Thunder. And Bacon definitely putting in that work today with already a heli and a tank kill, setting himself up nicely for the beginning of this Mexis gameplay. And if he can't find enough SP to spawn into something nice for his second life, well, maybe he could find some in one of those lunch boxes he's got duct taped to the back of his turret. Lads and ladies, the Mexis. Apparently, the add-on armor to this thing is pretty much tissue paper, but I suspect that's something of a balancing factor, as this tank is basically a Leo A1A1, which makes it an incredibly strong vehicle, even if it does not benefit from having a 20mm workstation on top of the turret that makes the lives of everyone with a cannon barrel, and that's pretty much everyone, or light armor, and oh no, that's the rest. A living hell if you allow it to survive for a few seconds. But that is not this, and even so, this is a very capable vehicle, as our guy Bacon Gaming has displayed. Angled and complex armor of the Object 279, more like the Object reduced to 0, am I right? He's gone, crushed, reduced to atoms. Anyway, what's that? Already 5 kills? Ludicrous, ridiculous, incredible. And I'm seeing some of that familiar Bacon gameplay. Something about these Brit boys teaches them to hide behind hills, use that camera, spot your targets, and then pop out and attack. And maybe it's because British vehicles require that kind of careful, considerate, cautious, defensive, and disciplined gameplay, and it's on display nicely today here in a vehicle that could, if it so chose, play in a different style and yet performs oh so nicely as a hill working vehicle with good gun depression, far better than the Soviet vehicles you'll commonly face, and as you see once again, fantastic armor penetration, even angled armor penetration qualities, as well as post-pen damage. You're looking at a vehicle that is both desirable and powerful. And may I add one more thing on, very reasonably priced on the marketplace right now, going between, I'd say 35 and 40 Gaijin coins. That is an extremely low price to pay when compared with other ways of getting into a top tier MBT, and this is really something special. It looks distinct. It is one of the few Canadian vehicles in the game, and the only Canadian top tier, and it's just fantastic. Along with that, how about a little bit of freedom? Freedom isn't free, but the what's this thing called? The double P51, the P102? I forget. Okay, I forget. This thing is an absolute monster, and all I'm doing is showing you some clips from F40P's replay. Again, here's another lad who has a YouTube channel and a fantastic one at that. And I really like this kid's, again, he's a kid, attitude. And he comes from, where is it, like Indonesia, I think? Pretty cool. Anyway, TinyPolska, I told you the name would change, and here it is now in the Sherman, which hasn't seen much in the way of name changes in War Thunder, but this is a medium tank for the Americans that just keeps getting better and better. And two things have come to this particular tank in recent updates. The first being a doubly effective stabilizer that is effective at twice the speed that it was in the past, and that definitely makes a difference when you're Oscar Mike in the best medium tank at this tier. And the second is that your add-on armor vis-a-vis the tracks that the crew have stapled all over this tiny behemoth are much more effective in the current update 1.101 of War Thunder because of volumetric shells right now. That may change, but this is something that you may notice in the Sherman, and yet if you're playing the vehicle right, your enemies won't even get a shot at you. The incredibly powerful American 75 that I've talked oh so much about because it's oh so worthy of comment, and some derpy rear armor that completely absorbs that. I'm going to go ahead and say that's the 75mm variant of the Italian SPG, and I was going to say that TinyPolski, what? TinyPolski? Polski Bricks? He is, I thought he was going to beat that Italian tank destroyer on the reload, but instead he gets beat into submission. Too bad. So sad. Well, what else do you have to back that up but another Sherman? This one still wearing the colors that, well, back then he was called Tiny German, right? Yeah, I think so. Tiny German sent me this skin for one of his replays, and it's still attached. And I'm not sure what we're looking at here. It might be that TinyPolski is using the view from the gunner's sight, and that's just the way that War Thunder replay system, God bless you, is showing that right now. That'd be my first guess. The second guess is, I don't know, replay bug? Yeah, that's also a pretty good guess. Anyway, what isn't a bug but rather a feature is the incredible strength of American armor at this tier and pretty much everywhere else. Not only do we get fantastic ground vehicles that you can argue whether or not they're the best at their tier, but you can argue whether or not they're the best at their tier, and there's a boatload of them. Silent sobbing can be heard from Japan. At the same time, speaking of Japan, USAF, US Navy, US Army, fighters, bombers, attackers, jets, everything that pushes its way through the atmosphere is just the best in the American tree. Don't at me, you'll never change my mind. We have the best aircraft from just past the start. Yeah, I know, our starting lineup is not the best. To finish, right now, the Phantom clearly dominating air matches and able to absolutely rock targets on the ground. Not sure what round that was that just disappeared itself into TinyPolska's turret, but like I said, the Sherman armor looking really great right now, and as you can see, the overall handling, firepower. I mean, I've ranted about this tank so much on the channel, you would think that that I was Paul. Oh, Paul, I missed you, lad. I think he's officially back on the Toshio Thunder Discord server, but I haven't really seen him around. I wonder what he's doing. He was doing some neat modeling stuff. Building models, not posing for photos, as far as I can tell. And I guess I'll leave it at that. This video's gone on long enough, and as always, I'm glad to see you here, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.